Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can we raise for the national anthem?
Are you singing?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll let Dr. No lead us, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, I know that, hello. We want to, Pat, we'd like to welcome you to the board. I know that you've been with the city, now the county, and you've always been a great addition, and I welcome you. Thank you. And with that, we'll start with our agenda. Where's our executive? You're first?
You want us to take the executive director report first?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes, I got it wrong.
Item number 1, Executive Director's Report on Multimodal Plan.
Good morning, Efren Mesa with the El Paso MPO. Although I'm not the executive, I don't know anybody mistaken that. But I'm doing a report regarding the multimodal plan. We're having some open houses, and we're having some open houses throughout the region. Wanted to introduce to you to some of the meetings that we're having, some of the locations and times. They are throughout the region, and if we can bring up one of the few things that we did regarding this multimodal plan is develop a few interesting new things. And one of the things we invented was a slogan for the campaign, which is expand your mobility, and a logo. This is the particular logo that we'll be using for the extent of the multimodal plan, and we'll be using it as a logo for the plan itself. With all roads lead to an alternative. That alternative is multimodalism. Some of the locations that we're going to be having them at are basically spread out throughout the region. Marty Robbins Recreation Center. Some of them will be on the same day, just some will be during the day for those that can attend during the day, and then there'll be some in the evenings for those that work during the day and can attend in the evening. There will be one Saturday one on November 7th. They do start on November 3rd and go through the 7th. We don't have one on Friday because we've learned that not too many people will attend a Friday meeting unless there's drinks and foods and snacks. But the Armijo Rec Center is the one on Saturday morning. We will be inviting different stakeholders as well as trying to invite EPMPO to attend as well. We'll have several booths there, about 6 or so, for people to get information and also to give us information. We'll be asking the public to give us any kind of needs that they see, any strategies they might have. We'll be having maps. We'll have tons of pamphlets and stuff and information to give to them regarding bicycle, transit, and pedestrian transportation modes, as well as health and human service transportation services as well. We will be having hopefully a representative from the Far West Texas El Paso Regional Transportation Coordination Committee, or WTEP, to give out information regarding health and human service transportation services as well. Like I said, we will have these meetings that are listed here. We're open to, of course, any particular meetings that you would like to open in regards to any representatives, having committee meetings or open house meetings or anything where we can, give out information as well there. We may not be able to have all the booths, but we can give out information in regards to the multimodal plan. I think also in your packet, you also have a planning areas map. That particular map just shows our 7 areas that we use in order to be able to locate the different meetings. And those particular meetings we have a meeting in each one of those planning areas. So we're trying to cover the region as much as possible. But we welcome you. If you could, we'll be sending out newsletters and announcements through email. We'll also have an announcement on our website. We'll have an ad in this Sunday's paper. It'll be a full color ad in the sports page. Supposedly it's supposed to be under the Cowboys so people can see it. But we'll be having an ad in the paper and also radio announcements, the full-fledged press release that we usually have. And we will also be hoping that you could spread the word as well, either by forwarding the newsletter that you receive or even posting it on your website as well. We appreciate the help.
Would it be possible for you to add, maybe, we'll give you a date to have a meeting on the east side, at the Pebble Hills Command Center? Because that kind of covers the east side. You don't have anything on the east side?
We do have one at the Pebble Hills Regional Command Center on November 5th. That one is from 3:30 to 6:30. And that one we're sort of reaching.
It's not on the sheet I have.
Oh, that's because it was added at a later date. We hadn't finalized two particular sites at that
So
particular
you have one
time.
at Pebble Hills?
The one that was on the screen did show the Pebble Hills Regional
I
Command
can't see
Center,
it.
I'm sorry. But
And
there
then-
are two that were added. So we're having one on November 3rd at Marty Robbins Recreation Center from 11 to 2. We're having one on the same day, November the 3rd, at the El Paso County Water Improvement District out in Clint. On November 4th, we're having one at Sunland Park Senior Center on McNutt from 12 to 3. On November 4th, we'll be having the Northeast Regional Command Center there from 4 to 7. November 5th is when we have the Pebble Hills Regional Command Center, and that's from 3:30 to 6:30. Also on November 5th, we have one at the West Valley Fire Department building in Vinton from 4 to 6:30. And then, of course, the Saturday one on November 7th at the Armijo Recreational Center from 9 to 12 in the morning. So sorry about that. When we created the packet, those two had not
Can
been
you send us a
confirmed.
revised one? So we
Yes,
can
you
put
will
it-
be getting all the information within
Thank
an
you.
email and a newsletter.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now I know why you looked at me. We had we had the first item I kind of went over, and the judge would like to speak on that.
Thank you so much, Mayor. So just to the TPB members, I don't know if you are aware, but Mr. Miranda had a family emergency, and so he's not here today, and we are lawyerless for this meeting. And my... Well, I'm married to a lawyer, so yeah, that would be bad. So my recommendation, oh, right, and there's some lawyers in there. Hey, I didn't say it, Representative. But I think my recommendation would be, I think we should just go through the kind of the more fundamental items that require action, and everything else should be moved to the November meeting, including the item that will require executive session, which is the evaluation. You should not be in executive session, I think, without a lawyer, and I think for the benefit of the public, you know, the role of the lawyer many times is to ensure that the public body understands what's within the Open Meetings Act, what's not in the Open Meetings Act, and to kind of take charge in that respect. And I know we all know, you know, what is appropriate and what's not, but I just think for the sake of perception, we just go through kind of the bare minimum action things and postpone everything else. But that's my recommendation.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Nyland.
Well,
All
see,
in
and here's
favor?
what a lawyer would say. We can't vote on that. Oh, unless we're actually postponing listing the items.
That's what we're
Okay, all
voting on.
right. See, I'm not a lawyer, but I would
Take-
like to play one on
Just
TV.
take a breath, we're okay. Deep breath, we're okay. Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Myla, should we tell you which items to postpone?
Please do.
Actually, yes. Can we go
Yeah, please
item by
do.
item, and then if we're going to take action, and if we're wanting to postpone, then postpone.
Okay, Mike, can you help us out here? Which items do you think have to be approved today so that we can postpone everything else?
Which is the New Mexico items?
Yes, see, I would certainly recommend that the policy board look at items 3 and 4 for action.
Right.
Okay, and so Mayela, everything else, could you read into the record, and then I'd make a motion to postpone till November?
And I think also Chairman Pickett, item I think we can discuss since there's no action. It's more of a, to direct the RMA and TxDOT to bring back to this body affirmative action so we can take action. So I think that item needs to be presented also.
Well, it's a discussion item, so we
Right.
can't take action, and
That's correct, that's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is, and it's up to the body, my recommendation is we just take 3 and 4. We don't have a lawyer. It's best, I think, but if there's an
And
urgency
two, of
to
course.
that.
Yeah, two we have to, because I just approved the minutes.
Yeah.
Our meeting.
What about the excusing of the members?
Huh?
Oh, and the
And excuse
excusing
the
of the
members?
members.
Correct.
I'll
And I
go,
would like to, unless the board would not like to, I'd like to take Representative Pickett's item.
6, yeah.
Because it's no action, it's not an action item.
Mayor, can
No,
we go,
it's-
can we go item by
Right.
item,
Yeah.
and then you all can let me know if you'd like to postpone it, or we can go ahead
Great,
and
okay,
proceed
thank
with
you.
it?
All right, so we'll go to executive item number 1.
Yes.
Everyone in favor of postponing that?
Move to postpone.
Second, all in favor?
Or didn't we just go through item 1?
Yeah,
So
no.
we don't have to postpone?
No, that's.
It's the
second one.
discussion action on the executive.
Oh, it's the addendum?
Right,
Okay.
so all in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. Now, number 2, the minutes. Go ahead. That one we're gonna go ahead and do. Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, item number 3. You want to read that into the record, please?
Item number 3 is discussion and action to allow the Transportation Policy Board Chair to execute the Federal Transit Administration Section 5310 Transportation Development Credit Agreement between the El Paso MPO and the Texas Department of Transportation.
Good morning, board members. Efrain
Morning.
Mesa with the El Paso MPO. Again, this is just a transportation development credit agreement between the MPO and the Texas Department of Transportation regarding FTA 5310, enhanced mobility for seniors and individuals with disabilities. The board had awarded Sun Metro these funds. However, they also asked for transportation development credits, which can only be used for capital. And the Texas Transportation Commission approved this particular agreement. So we basically, it's just a formality of going through the board and asking for your approval to sign this agreement between the MPO.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item number 4.
Item number 4 is discussion and action to accept the list of prioritized projects recommended by the Transportation Project Advisory Committee for inclusion in the Horizon 2040 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, the Horizon 2015-18 Transportation Improvement Program, and the new El Paso MPO's 2017-2020 Transportation Improvement Program from the New Mexico Call for Projects, with A being New Mexico Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality fiscal year 2016 for the amount of $1,444,165 for projects number 1, Sunland Park bus purchase 2 40-foot buses in the amount of $1,080,000 for Sunland Park, and number 2, 4th Street roadway improvements for $364,165 for Anthony, New Mexico. Item number B, New Mexico CMAQ fiscal year 2019 in the amount of $1,444,165 going to 4th Street roadway improvements for the total amount, and that is for Anthony, New Mexico. Item C is New Mexico Surface Transportation Program Large Urban fiscal year 2018 in the amount of $812,000 going to 4th Street roadway improvements for the total amount, and that is for Anthony, New Mexico. And item number D, New Mexico Surface Transportation Program Large Urban fiscal year 2019 in the amount of $812,000 going to 4th Street roadway improvements for the total amount, and that is in Anthony, New Mexico.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jose Landeros with the with Vice Chair for the TPAC. Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but fortunately, Mr. McNichol cannot be here today because his grandchild is being born. So many congratulations to him. So I'll be stepping in for him, giving you the recommended projects. We had New Mexico initiated this call for projects. It included 4 funding categories and fiscal year combinations. So fiscal year 16 and 19 CMAQ dollars, both in the amount of about 1.4 million, and then fiscal year 18 and 19 STP dollars, both in the amount of 812,000. The only fiscal year and funding category that had multiple projects submitted for it were fiscal year 16 CMAQ dollars. So the other projects that were submitted were all by the city of Anthony, and those are being recommended in items B through D to be funded fully. And again, the only competitive year was fiscal year 16 CMAQ. So the TPAC scored both projects, the 4th Street roadway improvements, which is a large multi-year plan that stretches from fiscal year 16 out to fiscal year 19, and then the City of Sunland Park's bus purchase. The City of Sunland Park has an agreement with Sun Metro to provide service to the community, and the bus replacement is to continue that agreement. The city and Sun Metro have had that agreement in place for about 12 years, which is about the life expectancy of a bus, which is what prompted them to submit this application to continue that system. When we scored both projects, the Sun Metro project, as will all transit projects, generally will always score higher than roadway projects. It had a score of 5.5, 5.5. The 4th Street roadway improvements, when we went through and scored 3.5, which is why we recommended fully funding the Sun Metro bus replacement with the City of Sunland Park. It was at TPAC then that the City of Anthony representative requested that the balance, with about $365,000, be programmed for their project, and they would work in their community to address the shortfall. But it is part of a larger plan. They are receiving they are receiving all the other funds that were initiated in the call for projects. So the TPAC recommendation was to fully fund the Sun Metro bus purchase at $1,080,000, and then the remaining balance of $364,165 be programmed for the 4th Street roadway project.
Yes, ma'am.
Next call for projects will be?
So this past call for projects was for New Mexico, and so we are going, so the next call for the Texas side of the MPO is that after the November election, we anticipate in December coming back to this policy board, presenting the available balances for the development of the new tip, and from there, we will announce the new call.
And do you have an approximate amount of funding that might be available?
We're still waiting for the reconciliation from the state.
And do you have any idea what the categories will be?
It's usually the general categories, the full 12 categories, but specifically here, we're looking at category 2, 5, 7.
Could you please specify for the record what the 2, 5, and 7
Sure.
are?
The second, category 2, deals with the state roadway, and the category 5 is CMAQ, the condition mitigation and air quality. Category 7 is surface transportation, and for this round, I don't think that we're gonna have any Cat 12, which is the coordinated border infrastructure.
Okay, and you have no idea at this particular
At this
time
point-
what the funding capacity could be?
I mean,
Ballpark? It's my favorite word.
well, I guess what I could tell you is that we certainly believe that we're gonna have money that becomes available if Prop 7 is passed.
Right.
We do anticipate.
Obviously.
Obviously. So if we have that, then the goal is to come back and provide to the policy board a planning strategy for capacity projects that would qualify for Prop 1 and Prop 7. If we do that, the idea is that the federal dollars that become available between fiscal year 17 through 20 is open. And so if I come back and tell you that there's prescribed monies in every fiscal year, it's just speculation.
Right, I understand that. I guess the reason why I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm just going to respectfully ask that we make sure that all entities, all parties involved that represent the board properly know and are properly educated on what funding is going to be coming available, when the call for projects is going to come down, so that everybody can prepare. And so I'm just trying to do the best job that we possibly can, making sure everyone is playing in a level playing field and everyone's being informed.
That'll be part of every letter when we're sending out the letter that we've been sending out on a timely manner, that we'll make sure that
Right.
that's included in that letter.
Great.
My communication to the policy board would be the same as it has been. I identify you know, the funding that's available. And certainly as part of the policy now is that we will sit down with the member agency that's submitting applications to ensure that their applications are robust and are eligible for that funding.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for that. Mr. Costa?
I have a question, I guess, for Representative Pickett. Can you give us the status of converting CMAQ dollars over to STP dollars?
I
Was
think-
that something that was completed?
Mr. Medina can give you the update on that, on the
I'm sorry,
conversion
what
of the
was
CMAC dollars. I know we're waiting for it to be.
Changing CMAQ to the STP?
Right.
Yeah,
so-
he's waiting for the verification before it can become a formal.
Right, we sent a communication to the executive director of TxDOT for the conversion of the CMAQ to STP. We have heard back from the state, and their direction is that it is probable that they could do it. We were just waiting for the reconciliation again. So
Right.
we need to ensure that there is monies that are part of that reconciliation in order to move forward. So again, is that my anticipation is that in December, I will come back with a full,
So you'll know by December?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, we should hear sometime in November and then bring it back forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 4.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5.
Second.
Motion to postpone. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Oh, just a little late on the eye, huh?
Just a little bit.
Motion passes except for one. Yeah. Item number 6.
Item number 6 is discussion and action to appoint the new member to replace Mr. Steve Norwood on the executive committee.
I hear a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Motion is,
No, we need a,
it's Steve Norwood replaced, Ms. Dalto would replace Mr. Norwood. Thank you. And I think it says that on here, but she didn't read it right. All in favor? All opposed?
no, you needed to appoint.
I thought
I
it
would
said,
move that we accept that Ms. Patadalso as a new member of the board.
I thought,
Second.
okay. Appoint of new member. Okay, I see. We didn't have that. You're right. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now, do we appoint someone at this point to the executive committee? Or at this meeting, or no?
That's what you just did, Mayor.
This was to be
No,
appointed
okay,
to
okay, I'm
the
sorry.
Oh, you know
Right.
what, then, I'm sorry, can we reconsider that? Because, so Pat, through the chair, Pat was going to replace Steve on the TPB, and Commissioner Bettis was going to replace Steve on the executive committee. We're without a chief administrator right now, and so Pat and everybody on the administrative team is taking on extra duties. So Pat will take one part of it, and the commissioner will take the other part of it until we have.
Well, that's not, yeah, I was just gonna say.
No,
it's
no.
not posted.
It is-
Item number 6
Yeah.
was to
Six is the
appoint,
executive
Yeah.
committee.
to appoint a member
So-
of the Transportation
Yeah.
You
Policy
can
Board.
reconsider the motion and then make a
So our
new
current,
motion.
we do,
Yeah.
You
right.
need to reconsider item number 6.
Patadalso, not being an attorney, but that's what we did, so we need
Right,
to take that back.
exactly.
Yeah.
And not being an attorney, I don't believe the board needs to take action.
It's just the chair of the executive.
Right.
committee.
Correct.
The board doesn't need to appoint
You do that.
Pat. The board doesn't need to appoint Pat anyway. The county just sends us whoever you
See,
send.
this is what happens when a lawyer's not in a room. So
Michael, will you intervene here? Make sure we're doing the right thing?
this is for the executive committee, right?
For the executive.
In accordance
Second to
in
reconsider
accordance
the
to-
motion.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Michael, what?
Okay,
I guess.
Hold on a second. Let Mr. Medina?
In accordance to, and I'm not a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, but in accordance to the bylaws is that it is the TPB chair that appoints the members to the executive committee.
Right, so it's
this-
not posted
So there
properly.
should be no action on item 6.
With
Correct.
item 6, the action that is being asked is to appoint
Yeah.
a member to replace Mr. Norwood on the executive committee.
On the
On the
EC.
executive committee, which, it's my understanding that the chair nominates to the executive committee
Correct.
and that the board ratifies.
Yes.
Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so in reconsideration of item number 6, can we have, Mayor, can you make a nomination and then the board will ratify the nomination?
Okay.
And the county would ask that you nominate Commissioner
Maela,
Perez.
Maela, no one.
Can I get a second on your
Second.
recall, Escobar?
Chairman Pickett did second that.
So we're moving to
This is why
reconsider.
we should not be in charge of ourselves. but-
All in favor to reconsider?
Aye.
All opposed? Nobody?
Okay, so let me read item number 6. Discussion and action to appoint a new member to replace Mr. Steve Norwood on the executive committee.
Okay, well, I will, again, I will go back to Mr. Dalto, that I will, no?
We're asking, the county would respectfully ask that Commissioner Perez.
Oh, okay, that's okay. Pettis, now, all in favor? I mean, is there a second?
I'll make a motion to ratify that nomination.
Just for point of information, who's on the executive committee right now?
We have Ms. Acosta, chairperson, Miller, and Joe Moody.
And Mr.
We're-
Norwood and Mr. B.
Mr. Doolittle. Oh. Yeah, so we have, we do have an opening for the county, that's correct.
7.
Second. She made a
I
motion
made a
to.
motion to ratify the chair's nomination of Vince Perez to the executive committee to replace Steve Norwood. And then all in favor.
I'm not going to say that.
Can we vote
The
by
second was Representative Moody.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Pettis. And there was a tough way to get there, sorry about that.
Not very pretty.
I know, there was a tough way to get there. All right, no more judge talking, that's it.
Wow, all right.
I'm just kidding. I know. All right,
Item number 7 is approved to request to excuse absent Transportation Policy Board members from the meeting, and I have Mayor Rick Avalos for the town of Clint, District Engineer Robert Bielek for TxDOT, Texas State Representative Cesar Blanco, New Mexico Representative Belquin Gomez, and Texas State Representative Marisa Marquez.
all in favor?
Excuse?
Oh,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Next item?
Mayor, may I just
I told you no more.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Again, my recommendation is just to postpone everything else and leave it for November unless there's some urgency to any of these items.
And I'm going to refer this item to Chairman Pickett, since it is your item. Chairman Pickett?
Well, being that there's discussion only and no action being requested, I would like to talk about it because it's important enough topic, and we just saw in item number 6 that I supported. Actually, probably should have had some attorney recommendations, but we did that, and there's no action, but I think we need to start the discussion.
You second that? Yeah. All right, all in favor?
All you have to do is read it into the record.
Read into the record.
Item number 8 is discussion on the possibility and implications of removal of tolls on roadways in the MPO planning area.
All right. All in favor of moving forward on this motion?
Aye.
All right, okay, let's go.
All right.
Go ahead, Chairman Pickett.
We'll try real fast, see if that works. With what's been happening in transportation funding, changes in state law, I think if there is a possibility to remove the tolls on Cesar Chavez, and there's no negative impact to the city of El Paso, the Regional Mobility Authority, of losing any funds, that we ought to go forward and let the Texas Department of Transportation and the Regional Mobility Authority work and come up with a plan that would be presented in the future to the RMA, the city, and the MPO on removing the toll. It's that simple. I'm not asking for this to be a down and dirty, up and down vote on saying we want to remove the toll. Background, there is no bonded indebtedness to the RMA on Cesar Chavez. The construction costs and the operational costs were forwarded to our community and it was built. We reconstructed the 2 existing lanes and added a 3rd managed lane and put a toll on it because at the time, the state of Texas, through its Department of Transportation, was heavily encouraging tolls. And it's not a total criticism of TxDOT. The legislature was not listening to the needs of the department statewide and did not have the appetite to increase funding. All TxDOT was able to do was get the legislature to agree to borrowing money, therefore putting the state deeper in debt for projects. Well, we've changed that mode. And in fact, this last session, we have suspended all borrowing except for whatever capacity is still out there that there's the authority to issue. And with the successful passage of Proposition 1 last year, the probability of Prop 7 this year, and even if Prop 7 was to go down on November 3rd, the state leadership through the legislature is committed to those dollar amounts that we're proposing be generated in Prop 7. The RMA was advanced monies for toll operation, and I wouldn't even suggest that we do this unless we, this community, went back to TxDOT and first off would ask for any outstanding balances to be forgiven. So that would be, to me, one of the first criteria. If the RMA sat across from TxDOT and TxDOT said, we're not willing to do that, then I don't think there's any discussion, we wouldn't go forward. I don't think that's necessary. The other thing is one of the reasons that tolls were presented was, okay, you've got the money to build the road, but we, the state of Texas, don't have plans in the future on how to maintain stuff either. So even though the toll is not necessary to pay for building the road, 20 years down the road, though, you'll have this income revenue to do maintenance. Well, okay, but that's also putting the onerous on a local community. They're saying, put on a toll because we, the state of Texas, aren't going to pay for the maintenance in the future either. That would be the second thing that I would recommend would be a part of the discussions and negotiations is, will you, the state of Texas, also take over maintaining this state road into perpetuity? If we couldn't get that, then we decide whether to go forward or not. It's, in my opinion, a perfect time for us to have these discussions. Managed lanes are going to come under fire all over the state of Texas for a couple of reasons. One being the debt. The second one is they're not having a positive effect on congestion. Right now, we've done some traffic counts that you have some information. There'll be more done if we can go forward later down the road. But currently, the total usage, and it's broken down by hours, and we can go into all minutia, but the bottom line is, of all the traffic that uses Cesar Chavez Border Highway, according to TxDOT's traffic numbers, 6% of all the traffic uses one tolled lane, and 94% of the driving public is forced onto 2 lanes and doesn't have access to the third one. And even if it was a dollar amount like a project in the future, if we just went to TxDOT separately and just said, hey, we want to help alleviate congestion, we've got a failing interstate, we need something parallel to that, our project would be to take the toll off that so that we can spread the traffic out over 3 lanes. I don't see any downside at all into at least going forward and having a discussion with the RMA and with TxDOT. And I will give some of the arguments on the other side too. The Regional Mobility Authority does generate income that perpetuates their existence. But there's other sources of revenue. My understanding is, because I was asked to participate, the legislature gave, through authority this last session, the ability for the county to contract with the RMA. That wasn't possible until recently. The city of El Paso may want to do more with their international bridges. And that's a separate issue. Those are all separate issues. But I want to bring that up. So there's going to be some people, I wouldn't go with that argument about we need to just continue the RMA so we have tolls, but some would. Okay, well, there's going to be other sources of revenue. The Regional Mobility Authority has done a good job in developing some of the projects that we do have. TxDOT's been using them, the city has been using them, the county will be using them. They are a financing tool that now we're figuring out to use their services for some of the things that were intended originally when they were created back in House Bill 3588. So all I wanted to do was bring some facts. And personally, I just don't see the need. The driving public doesn't deserve to be told if it's not necessary. The commission is starting to set a precedent, and that's before the select committee that I'm part of. We're going to be giving some recommendations to them. Last month, the commission took action in San Antonio. They don't have a toll that's existing like Cesar Chavez, but they have a road that's extremely important that they were pressured into tolling. That's been reversed. And they took action, the commission took action last month and has removed the toll from what's known as 281. And now TxDOT is kind of charged with coming up with the additional monies to do that. If we're going to be offering these type of situations around the state of Texas, I just think it would be incumbent upon our community to get in line and be one of the first ones to say, if we don't have to toll and it doesn't have a negative impact on our community, let's take a look at it. It's not an action item. There's not enough information for everybody to make a decision today, including myself. But I know that there's a lot of possibilities out there. There are no guarantees. And again, I wouldn't recommend the city, this body, or the RMA removing any tolls without some guarantees, without an agreement, without going to the Transportation Commission with a proposal. It would be strictly contingent. If this community came up with a plan, it would be because we benefited from it. And we would take that to the Texas Transportation Commission, and if they agreed with us, fine. And if not, what do we have to lose? We're already in the position that we are. There's a few people are here that were around when we did this original proposal. It was quite contentious at the time. It was when we were basically told all communities, not just El Paso, you had to have tolls. TxDOT passed a minute order that said any new capacity project in the state of Texas must be looked at as developed as a toll. The chairman of the Texas Transportation Commission last Saturday publicly stated that that would no longer be the position of the Texas Transportation Commission. We're looking at actually, and it's not a done deal yet, Representative Acosta asked about future monies. That's yet to be determined. I'm on that committee that will be making those recommendations, and we're debating on putting in a category for toll relief, on trying to reverse some of the projects around the state of Texas that don't make sense. This project could never have gone forward without an infusion of cash. If this project had to have been a standalone on the tolls, it couldn't have been done. There's just not enough revenue. Now, there is money coming in, but the contract that the RMA has with the state of Texas, first and foremost, is that the toll facilities and operations must be paid for, and the physical maintenance of the road. It's relatively new today, but will need quite a lot of maintenance in the future. So even though there is a revenue, the trade-off in my mind isn't very good, but so other people feel more confident, we'll run those numbers out. Let the RMA and TxDOT work on that. But to me, it's like, what do we have to lose?
And I want to thank you for that, because I know you and I have had some few discussions over this, and you'd get mad and come back, and so.
And then you get mad.
No,
you come back.
so that's it. So I think this is the right approach, and the approach is to make sure that that I support you on what you're saying 100%, because we do need to look at it and see where we're at. I do want to make sure that there's no penalties for canceling any tolls. There's projects that are continuing to be done that we have the ability to finish, and if there's any money that needs to be pulled down for whatever reason it may be, that we have the ability to do that. And that's some of the things that I want him to bring back to the city, to the MPO board, so we can look at it to make sure that it is the best thing and there is no implication for the citizens. So I agree with you 100% that we need to look at it and that we need to get rid of it. And we just need to make sure that the city at no point in this procedure is caught off guard and we don't understand all the implications that may happen. So I agree with you 100%.
And Mayor, not just the city, the county, it can't.
No,
have-
the county
it-
too,
It
yes.
can't have negative.
That's why I said back to this board. I corrected
Connotations to the
myself.
county, and people, what's the county have to do with it? Well, on this particular project, nothing. But if the
On the
county
bridges
is
on it.
interested in working with the RMA, but the RMA, has to do something collectively, I mean, I'm willing to look at all of those things. I just know that there are lots of communities, entities, people who would love to be in the position that we are. That the timing, the availability of revenues coming in, things have changed. And as I stated earlier, I'm not here to say it's all TxDOT's fault. Ultimately, it's still the legislature. And it was under past regimes. We went and took proposals and couldn't get them through. There's people tried different methods, and it took several years, took many. The borrowing got to a point where now we have a track record. TxDOT has approximately $11 billion a year budget. $1.3 billion comes right off the top to pay debt now. And so that was a wake-up call to the legislature. You weren't doing the citizens a service by borrowing money. We need to go back as cash as you go. Prop 1 now has replaced the borrowing. Prop 7 will actually take us further. So the legislature is listening, is starting to wake up, trying to find ways to make this minimal effect. I'm asked all the time, does this mean there'll be no tolls anywhere? Not necessarily. There's still going to be projects, and we may have a new capacity project in El Paso that makes sense in the future. But right now, I think it's worth asking the question.
And I appreciate that. Like I said, I support you 100% as long as we can make sure all implications. So I know that there's no action, but I'd sure like to see the RMA and TxDOT engage in the conversations and come back no less than 90 days to this board with its recommendation on how to accomplish what Chairman Pickett has talked about and look at all implications. Pardon me? I can't hear, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm going to do that before we close. I noticed there wasn't on here. And if you give me a minute, I'll give you a second, Mr. Rooney. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you for being here always, Mr. Rooney.
To the chair, thank you. I wanted to remind Representative Pickett that when the discussion of tolling Cesar Chavez came about, and I think you were on the committee, and Congressman O'Rourke was on the committee, he was a city rep at that time, but I think you came up with a recommendation that if the funding was not paid in 15 years, then the toll would go away anyway.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So eventually it was going to go away anyway. I think that's an important component to remember, that it should go away.
Well, I was able to get that in agreement, but it's not necessarily means that would automatically go away. My intention at that time was that we would be here today with this kind of proposal. I knew that things were going to eventually change, and hopefully we were able to reverse the toll at some point. But yes, if it doesn't make enough money to do all the operations, then it would automatically go away. What people should be mindful of is, even though there are revenues, I can't believe that even the RMA can tell you exactly how much you're gonna need for certain things in the future, but it's required by the contract to do certain things first. If the RMA is generating $200,000, $300,000 a year, that does not mean the city of El Paso's got $200,000 or $300,000 to use for other projects. It must be used for those primary items, and that's operating the tolls. And there's a lot of people that live off of that. There's MSB that lives off of sending out the notices. There's the equipment that's gonna have to be changed. The equipment that's up there today is not gonna be the same equipment in the future. That's gonna be another vendor selling more equipment. So there's always gonna be these costs that are involved. And we actually look at developing toll roads and non-toll roads, and it's less money to develop a road as a non-tolled road. We also know more people use it. And as far as the conformity, as far as the feds are involved, this is gonna be something that TxDOT's gonna have to deal with statewide, because TxDOT has been dictated to, required to come up with a plan on inventorying all toll roads in Texas, and TxDOT has to bring the legislature a plan for removing all of the tolls that TxDOT has initiated. I'm just trying to get ahead of the curve, because we hope to dedicate some money towards removing tolls.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other comments on this? So we look forward to TxDOT and the RMA working together and bringing back a actionable report or action item for this board to take. And I hope we can do it in 90 days or less. I know Raymond's smiling back there, so it must be true. Thank you. Mr. Rooney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike Rooney, I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your positive comments to examine this. And Representative Pickett, thank you for your efforts to remove the toll on the border highway in the lower valley. At the time, that was the only funding mechanism available to assist with that project. But over time, other funding sources have become available. TRZs, the county's $10 vehicle registration fee increase, the last state prop, I think you said that's Prop 1, and the November Proposition 7. So please keep pushing this issue. Request the EPMPO provide a list of the projects and a briefing here of the road projects and funding that the Lower Valley has received during the last 8-year period. It certainly appears other parts of the city have benefited handsomely with all of this new transportation money. Remember, voters cannot cast public votes for members of the CRRMA. The chair is appointed by the governor. The city has a strong voice in the appointments of the other board members. There's no justification to keep a toll in perpetuity when other funding mechanisms are today available. Let's take it in small bites. Remove the toll on the current border highway if possible. And in later years, if the opportunity comes up, let's take the toll off of the future border highway west. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rooney. With that, I think,
Can we, Mayor, through the chair,
yes, ma'am.
can we postpone the reports until the next meeting?
Yes,
Is that possible?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. I'd make that motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Is there anybody from the public here to hear those, or just us?
Oh, that's just, anyone here
There's
that,
no action on those either,
anyone here to listen to those or not?
just the presenters themselves.
Yeah. So, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now, we did skip call to the public. It wasn't on here. Is there anyone else signed up by any chance?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
We postpone that item?
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Me?
Before you leave, just, I know we know
We
we're
did,
adjourned,
but
but
his
since the
schedule
judge
is-
brought it up, Mr. Miranda, the personal matter involved his son, who used to work for me. And today, he's okay, but it's just really questionable. But today, he's okay.
Thank you.
Prior to the, okay.